Hi, this is Amma from SSLtrust.com Australia, and in this video I am going to be showing you how you can successfully install an Ssl certificate on Xampp in Windows. Now there are a few prerequisites for you to get started. One is that you have Xampp installed on your computer, and two is that you have a valid domain name and a domain hosting service, so that you can validate your domain name and get your certificate issued for your local production environment. For starters, let me start the Xampp web server and click on Start Apache, and let's head over to localhost. And as you can see, we are able to see the Xampp dashboard, and as you can see, our connection to the site is not yet secure, and we are going to make sure it is. So let's close this up and get started. Now the first step is generating a private key and a CSR. So we're going to scroll down to the bottom of the page and click on CSR and key generator. Now once you do that, you can now scroll down and generate your CSR, or a certificate sign-in request. Now a CSR, or a certificate sign-in request, is nothing but a request initiated by you, the client, to the certificate authority, which contains all the necessary information such as the domain name and the business details, which are stored in a hashed form. On the technical side, it also contains the public key, which will be signed by the certificate authority and returned to you in the issued certificate. So we're going to fill this out real quick. Common name, type in your domain name here. Organization name, the name of your organization. The organizational units such as IT, the city that you live in or the town. State is, the state field is here. Type in your state. Choose your country. Type in your email address. And we're going to use the 2048-bit, which is the industry standard root length, and click on Generate CSR. So that's it. This is your private key and this is your CSR. So I'm going to copy this from the very start to very end, the private key with all dashes, and close this up, and I'm going to create a new file. Open this up and paste the contents here. Now file, we're going to save it as, make sure you uncheck the .txt document type, and let's save it as private.key. Now it will be saved with a .key extension and not a txt extension. So this is what we want. Click on save. Let's close this up. And now we are going to do the same thing for the CSR. Copy this from the very start to very end. New text file. Paste it right here. And you can save this as a normal text file. So CSR, desktop, save. Close this up. So you have now generated your private key and your CSR. It is now time to order and configure your Ssl certificate. So I am here on the Ssl Trust homepage again, and we're going to move on to purchase and configure our Ssl certificate. So basically, since you're securing a local environment, what I recommend that you do is purchase an Ssl certificate, which you can use to secure your local environment to make sure that all packages and code runs well and you get a secure connection so you can test out things. And then you can use the same certificate to secure your production website, the main website that you are going to be launching with your domain name. So this works out well for both things. Once you scroll down, you'll see that Ssl Trust has partnered with various leading certificate authorities, and we have Ssl certificates for all business types. Whether you're a small website, you need more security, whether you're a premium business, or you're an enterprise, or you need Ssl certificates for various subdomains as well, or you need multi-domain SSL certificates if you have multiple domain names. You can contact our sales team and they will be happy to guide you in choosing an SSL certificate best suited to your needs. So now we're going to scroll up, and so for example, we are going to go with the Commodore Positive SSL for this video. Scroll down, choose your duration, click on Buy SSL, click on Checkout, fill in all these details here, choose your payment method, and agree to the terms of service and click on Complete Order. Once you do that, you can head over to the SSL Trust Client dashboard and click on your SSL certificate. Now, since this is a test video, I have chosen a 1-month SSL certificate. Now you can click on the Start Certificate Configuration button right here. Now we're going to paste in our certificate sign-in request. So let me close this up real quick. And this is our CSR. Copy this from the very start to very end, including all the dashes. Copy and paste it right here. Click on Verify CSR to verify your CSR. Server type, we're going to go with Apache since Xampp uses Apache as its web server. And if your information looks good, we can now proceed. Everything looks correct to me. Click on Next Step. Once you do that, fill in all these details here. And your email address. Now, if you're the admin of the website and you have a technical individual doing this for you, you can mention their details here. Otherwise, click on Next Step. Now comes the important part of the certificate validation process. You can now choose one of 4 methods to verify the ownership of your domain name. Now, you need to prove to the certificate authority issuing your certificate, which in this case is Sectigo, that you own your domain name and have complete access to it. So the first method is the email method. Now you need to have an email address with this extension, and you need to have a hosting. So you will be sent an email to this very address, and once you click on a confirmatory link, your certificate should be issued. Now the second method is the HTTP file method. Now you'll need to host your website, and you need to create a file with this exact name, and you'll need to create these subdirectories as well under the root server directory and paste these contents and validate your certificate. Now the third, or the easiest method in this case, is the Dns Record validation method. So what we're going to do is open our DNS settings, whether you've parked your page with your domain name provider such as Namecheap or so, and we are going to create a few DNS records there to make sure that our domain name gets validated. Now your DNS could be with your hosting or your domain provider, so make sure you check the name service before you do this. Now I'm going to open my DNS Management Service, which is Cloud DNS in this case, and as you can see, this points to some address and has these name service. So we're going to create a new record. Click on the Add New Record button. This is the host value. Copy this and paste it right here. And do the same for the pointing to value. Copy and paste it right here. Click on Save. Oh, we have not selected the CNAME method. Sorry for that. Choose the type as CNAME and click on Save. Your record should be created, as you can see right here. And you can click on the Check DNS Record button at the bottom of this page. Click on Search. And as you can see, it takes some time for the DNS record to propagate through all servers. So you might have to wait a few minutes, up to an hour, depending on your propagation speed or your domain name provider, how many servers they have. Otherwise, for now, we can click on the Submit Configuration button right here. And our configuration was a success. This is our order number, and our status is that we are awaiting validation. So we can click here to access the validation manager. And as you can see, our DNS resolved really quickly and our certificate was issued. And let's see, this has propagated in quite a few places, so let me close this up. And if this is not the case for you, if your domain control validation is not complete, you can click on this button, and then there will be an option to resubmit to refresh things on Sectigo's end, and you should be issued your certificate. Furthermore, if you're ever lost in this process, you can head back to the dashboard and select your Ssl certificate, and there would be a button here where you could access the validation manager again, and another button which would help you reissue or reconfigure a certificate, as you can see here. So it doesn't matter if you mess up, you can redo this thing again and again. So that's it, we have been successfully issued our certificate. Now we can click on the collect or download certificate button here. Okay, so the next step in this process is to download the Ssl certificate files and move them to Xampp. So what we're going to do is select the format as separate primary and intermediate certificate files, zipped, and click on download certificate. Let's call it cert. Click on save, unzip this file and extract them to your desktop, and that's it. Once we've done that, let me rename this certificate file for easier accessibility when we point our certificate to the web server. So let's call it certificate and intermediate as it is. Okay, so now that we have downloaded our certificate files, you can now click on the main certificate file and open it with your preferred editor such as Visual Studio Code, and do the same for the intermediate file. And now what we're going to do is copy the intermediate certificate from the very start to the very end, including all the dashes, and we are going to paste it at the bottom of the main certificate file. Once you do that, click on Ctrl S, save the buffer, and close your editor. Now we did this to make sure that we can input the certificate file in just one step in the configuration. Now we can move on to upload the private key and the combined certificate file to our Xampp folder. So open your file explorer, scroll down, go to Xampp and Apache, conf, and we're going to create a new directory here called SSL, or new folder, and I am gonna drag the private key and the combined certificate file right here, and make sure the name is as easy as possible, or whatever you change the name to, make sure you remember it for further configuration purposes. And then we're going to close this up, and that's it. We have now successfully uploaded our certificate files to the Xampp web server or under the Apache directory. So now we are gonna open File Explorer and then scroll down to this PC, click on Windows, the C drive, click on Windows again, and scroll down and find System32. You can also use the search button right here, click on System32, scroll down again, go to drivers, then etc, and then we're going to open the host file. Now I am using VS Code to open this file, but you can either use Notepad or whatever file editor you have. So we're gonna open this with VS Code, and we're gonna add a line at the bottom here, 127.0.0.1, and now I'm gonna specify the domain name here, which is the domain name of that we actually own, that we can later use it to install on our website. And that's it. Control S. We can retry this as administrator. Click on yes, and that's it. We have now pointed sslguides.com.au to the local host. So now that we've done that, the next step in the process is editing the virtual host configuration for Xampp. So what we're going to do is open Xampp and then config, Apache config, and then the third option right here, http xampp.config. Once you open the config, we're going to scroll to the very bottom and leave a line right here, and we're going to paste in some code which you can find in the description of this video. Is a written guide where you'll find the exact commands. Now what we're going to do is change a few things right here. So the first thing that you're going to change is the document root. Make sure that you have installed Xampp in the correct location. For example, if I would use the E drive, then specify E drive here, but since I've installed it in C, this is good to go. Now server name, type in yourdomainname.com, and server alias www.yourdomain.com, and then the same thing right here, sslguides.com.au. Copy this and paste it right here, and the server name, and do the same for the server alias. Now comes an important step, which is the Ssl certificate file path and the certificate key file path. So what we're going to do is open Xampp again and navigate to the Explorer. Go to the place where you've stored the Ssl certificates. Right click on certificate and click on copy as path, and then just paste it right here. So do the same for the private key. So copy as path and paste it right here. That's it. This should suffice. Now save this file, Control S, and close this up. And now we can start Apache again. And as you can see, a status change detected. And if your server is able to start, this means that you have done the configuration correctly. Otherwise, if you're getting an error and your server is not starting, make sure that you review the commands and make sure it is correct, and then restart the server. Okay, so let's go check up on our Ssl certificate. So https:// type in your domain name, sslguides.com.au/dashboard, and as you can see, we have successfully installed an Ssl certificate, and our connection to the site is now secure. And you can see more certificate information right here. Issued by Sectigo and valid from X to Y. And close this up, and we are being displayed with the Apache dashboard, the Xampp dashboard, sorry. So this is how easy it was to install an Ssl certificate on Xampp in Windows. Now, there is a written guide in the very description of this video, which you can refer to along with the video to make sure that you can easily install your Ssl certificate. Additionally, I do want to mention a few things. So this was the localhost Ssl certificate setup using Xampp. Now, if you want to move your website from a local environment to a production environment, which is the internet, you will have to change a few things in the configuration. But Basically, this process is the very same. Now, if you choose to have Apache or any other web server as your main web server and you wish to deploy your SSL certificate there, you can refer to our other guides on our channel, SSL installation guides, which should help you do that. And I will add the Apache installation guide for both Debian and Ubuntu in the very description of this video. So if you're using Linux as your production web server, you can refer to that video. Now, if you like this video, give this a thumbs up. If you were easily able to install your SSL certificate, with a thumbs up. If you've got any questions, please put them in the comments below. And that's it for this video. Thanks for watching.